Star Trek was a big part of my life when I was a little kid, because I used to watch a lot of that old science fiction stuff. I used to watch Star Trek and Ultraman and Space 1999 and Spectre-Man, Doctor Who, and Johnny Sacco and his flying robot, and a lot of those other science fiction shows. I used to watch all that stuff when I was a kid. Being raised in California in the 1960s and 1970s by artists resulted in a colorful upbringing. My creative parents had interesting friends ranging from Andy Warhol to Jacques Cousteau. And back in the 50s, my mother even dated Max Baird Jr. It's a strange thought to think that my mother was fooling around with Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies before I was born. But my father's traits are the ones that really rubbed off on me, I guess. I mean, his interest in whales and marine animals led to a lot of my hobbies, such as scuba diving and snorkeling, and my love of animals and ecological concerns. And of course there was my father's wild and crazy sense of humor, which I like to think I inherited. And so it's strange that after 25 years I never really asked my dad about what it was like being involved in the initial designs for the Star Trek movie back in the mid-1980s. He helped design the whales in that Star Trek film, and so I'm going to go interview him after all this time. So tell me, how was it that you got involved in designing the whales for the Star Trek movie?
I was at a party at George Lucas's house. His new house wasn't built then, so that tells you what the date was, probably around 1980. And they said, well, we're going to do a Star Trek that has a lot of whales in it. I said, oh, that's nice, and so is everybody else, you know, no big deal to me. And they said, and we want you to be the consultant. I said, really? Okay, that sounds good. Nothing more came up of it. I had a great time, big barbecue, hot dogs, and everything you could think of there. 3 or 4 years later, the phone rings, maybe about 3 years later, maybe 84, something, 83. And it's Neil Arodis from Industrial Light
and Magic.
He wanted to know if I could come over and talk about this movie they're going to make. So I said, yeah. So I went over there, and I took all my portfolio. They gave me a big tour. Took me all around. They got a warehouse with a castle in it, made of styrofoam. I saw Roger the Rabbit or the Duck, Henry the Duck, whatever it was, and 6 guys were sitting around. He was making the duck do stuff. They showed me how the cameras swoop through and turn, all computerized, and come back, then raise a little bit, all on a big track, several big tracks. Very fascinating. I had a good time that day. And they looked at all my stuff. They said, wow, you got a lot of whale stuff here. You know, I said, yeah, I do. 40 years, 30 years I've been doing it. It was a great day, a great meeting. And they said, now we want you to come back in a couple of weeks. Leonard Nimoy will be here, and we're going to give him a presentation on what we're doing with this. Just one scene. And we'd like you to sit in on it, if you'd like, because there'd be some whale stuff in there. And they'll give you an idea what we're up to. I said, oh, sure, that's great. He said, one little problem, though, the main guy to decide this is not here today. So we'd like you to leave your portfolio stuff here, if you can. I said, oh, okay. So usually you don't want to leave your portfolio anywhere. You take it with you. But I didn't. It's okay. They always said they're going to hire me, and that was okay. And everything I took them was published anyway. You could go to the library and get it. So that was fine. I came back in 2 weeks when they called me back, and I walked in, and I had a little line drawing in one of my books of a humpback whale, and all of a sudden this room was full of these humpback whales. That's a simple little line drawing I had, all made out of latex, different sizes. I said, wow, I'm off to a good start here. They had my stuff everywhere. And then we went into the meeting. I met Leonard, and I call him Len. No, I don't call him Len. But he was a hell of a nice guy. He said, oh, you're the whale guy, Larry Foster. Yeah, the whale guy. And he shook hands, and we talked about it. He liked whales. And then these guys, they had this presentation they were doing, put storyboards up, each little picture, and they talk about it. I'll see what they wanted to say about it. And then they gave me a check, $350. I said, oh, okay, well, that's off to a pretty good start. 2 visits. I went to Marin County. Where is Industrial Light Magic? Where is that?
It's probably up there somewhere.
Yeah, it's in San Rafael. So it's not a bad drive, and a very interesting tour. I had a really good time going over there, and considering what I did, they paid me very well. I thought I was happy. Took all my portfolio stuff back, and then a couple of weeks later, the phone rings, and it's Neil Arodis saying that, well, they decided to change whale advisors, and they're going to use somebody else. I said, okay, that's fine. That's a good idea. That's nothing wrong with that. Do you think there's anything wrong with that?
No, you got $350 out of it, so what the hell?
Yeah, what the hell? I was happy. And that was the end of it. That was my whole thing. I had a nice visit with Nimoy and some of those other guys and saw how the studio worked. It was a lot of fun. They got all my whale stuff and took it right out of the books, which is okay. I saved a trip to a library and it cost them $350, and I had a good time. And then they called me up and told me they're getting somebody else. The guy I got was also a good friend of mine, Peter Folkens, who was a real good guy to do that. So they went ahead and did the film. And the film hadn't come out yet, but they're announcing that they'd finished it at the Monterey Aquarium. They had this life-size head of a humpback whale sitting there, and they used it for different shots. And Peter designed that. They had this little latex whale. It was actually one of my whales out of the book, but now it's about this long, and it had a little water pump in it. And it squirted water, and this guy put in a frog skin in a suit, or whatever you call him, and got in the tank with this whale swimming around. It swims like a dolphin, not like a whale. It swims like this, with its tail going up and down. Oh, yeah. And it was funnier than hell to see it. Swimming around. The fish are all looking at it. What's this? I don't know, Shirley. I don't know. Doesn't looks like trouble to me. Sharks and everything, they just flew around. That was really cool. So I got a chance to talk to Peter. And I said, how'd it go making it? It was a lot of work, a lot of fun. He said, not a bit of work, not that much fun. He said, right now, we're having a little argument. I had to go to Hawaii and spent 2 weeks over there, and they're not going to reimburse me. So I'm going to sue them. They took advantage of him. But his brother's a lawyer, so I think he did sue him, and he may have gotten something out of it. But that was my whole story of the Starfield, Star Game, Star Wars.
Starkist?
Something like that, yeah.
Starmade. What the hell was it? Star Wars.
The one that has William Shatner in
it? Yeah. I didn't meet him. He was out in the car. Yeah, he's out there waiting.